Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Dieko Talks Law. My name is Olayeni Diekolola Daniels, popularly known as Dieko Spectre. And on today's episode of Dieko Talks Law, we will be talking about the BAMISE story. Now, for those people who do not know the BAMISE story, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction to the BAMISE story. But most importantly, this video is to discuss whether or not BAMISE is going to win. You know, BAMISE now is deceased, so I'm referring to the family. So whether or not BAMISE and her family would win the case against the BRT bus driver. Basically, what I'm saying is whether or not there is enough evidence against the BRT bus driver to convict him for the murder of BAMISE. That is my question. Now, before I go into this, if this is your first time of coming to my channel, I want to say a very big welcome to my channel. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button, make sure that you click the notification bell so that anytime I release any video which is going to be of interest to you, just like this one, you'll be one of the first set of people to watch that particular video. Now, in relation to what we are talking today, in fact, I'm supposed to rename this whole episode from Dieko Talks Law to, evidence and emotions, because I've realized that in Nigeria, anytime anything happens, what we have most of the time is more emotion and little evidence. And then when things do not go in favor of the emotion, they begin to say our justice system is rigged, lawyers are liars, these are this and that are that. And I'm like, Kunade, calm down. You people should chill. For example, in the Sylvester Omoroni's case, I can remember fully well that when I heard the case for the first time and I did a little bit of research based on the evidence, I told my friends at that point that the prosecution is likely to lose this case. At that time, that was where we're still seeing the video of, him in pains, about to die and stuff like that. I wasn't looking at the emotional perspective of it. I was looking at it from the point of view of the evidence. And in my head, I was like, I don't think there is enough evidence. Until when the prosecution then decided that they were not going to move forward with the case, and then most people were saying, that is corruption, that is this, that is that, they've bribed somebody. And I'm like, no, if you look at the evidence in itself, you will see that there are a lot of things wrong with the evidence. And I'm still very sure that I'm going to make a video on that issue. But the only reason I've not made a video yet is because there is currently a coroner's inquest on the death of Sylvester. I don't want to speak out of fact, but I know that one cogent fact in that case is that the two toxicology reports that were made in that particular case were different. One was saying I did not find substance and the bones were not fractured, which goes against what Stanley was saying and all that, but I don't want to go into that particular case now. When coroner has delivered the judgment, that's the inquest on the cause of death, then I'll make a video. For today's particular show, we are talking about the BAMISE case and whether or not there is enough evidence to actually convict the BRT bus driver. Now, for us to be able to understand this particular thing, I think it is very, very important for us to know the background story and what led to this whole issue. So on a particular night, a person boarded a BRT bus. This person here is BAMISE, and that night is February the 26th 2022. And then when she boarded the bus, she noticed that there were several strange things. One of those strange things is the fact that when she was entering the bus, the driver said, "Now only you are go pick." In Lagos, there is a person that does not like money that we say, "Now only you." I have never seen that before. So when he said that only you are go pick, well, it's not that business if you pick everybody or if you don't pick anybody. Our own business is if you get to where you are going to. But that already got her, disgruntled a little bit that waiting they happen for here now only me you go pick bow. Then she decided to make a video of what is going on and then sent it to her friend. And also she decided to send a series of voice notes. For those people who haven't seen the video or those people who haven't heard the voice notes, these are the videos and voice notes.
Okay, ṣe. Irọ́ kò dúró báwo like kò yé mi. Ó dúró gbé mi. So kò gbé anybody mi lọ. Ẹnìkan ló gbé ọtí mò ń sọ nìyẹn. Ẹ̀yin pátápátá ni mo wà. Ayé gbogbo fẹ́lẹ̀ dà rẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin mo wà ṣàyẹ̀ pátápátá bò kò lè gbọ́ mi. Lọ sí méjì mẹ́rin.
Ṣé ọ nìkan lóbìnrin ni àbí obìnrin míì ṣì wà ń bẹ̀? Ṣọ́kùnrin làwọn èèyàn náà àbóbìnrin?
Àwa méjì lóbìnrin. Obìnrin ẹyọ kan ọkùnrin mẹ́ta.
Okay náà mo ti gbọ́. Ṣé màá bá mi sọ̀rọ̀ o? Bá ti délé kò jẹ́ kí n mọ̀. Bá ṣáà ti bọ́ lẹ́nu mọ́tò yẹn kò jẹ́ kí n mọ̀. Afa ìgboro tí wàá dé. Mo ń pè ò píkọ̀ wáì náà. Píkọ̀ kéèyàn tiẹ̀ mọ bó ṣe ń lọ.
Àbí o Jésù. Ó sì bá lọ́pọ̀lọ́ tí mo lè fún un. Ìyá ṣe bí pé mo lè pọ̀. Nígbà tó rí pé kò jẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé a ti bá ti gbé ìwòrò ìṣèjì àbí kìlọ́ọ̀bù tó máa bọ́lẹ̀ lọ.
Okay náà mo ti gbọ́. Ọlọ́run aṣọ ẹ̀ délé. Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ náà? Ó píkọ̀ ò dẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ náà ẹ́ Afa náà kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ náà ẹ́.
Yes ma, mo ti gbọ́ ma. Mọ́tò yẹn báyìí èèyàn pátápátá ni màmá jókòó sí ẹ̀yìn ni mo wà èmi wà lẹ́yìn. Orí dírẹ́fà yẹn ló ń wúlò gbọ́ngbọ́n títí rí orúkọ bóyá nọ́mbà bí ọtí yẹn ní ẹ̀yìn ìlú. Ṣáàmà fàdúrà ẹ̀sìn wàhálà ọkọ̀ mi ò balẹ̀ mọ́. Má sọ fẹ́ níbodì tó ní mo mọ̀ sí ìlú Masáré lọ fún yọba àti ọmọ àwọn ìfèmí ṣe yẹyẹ tí kò kó bá.
You can see, in fact, there was one message that I read where some people were blaming her that why would she enter. I was just like, there is something wrong with you people's head. There is nothing that the victim would ever do that is right. You will always blame the victim for everything. But victim blaming and all that is not what we are going to discuss about today. What we are discussing about is whether or not there is enough evidence to convict the BRT bus driver. Of course, they arrested the BRT bus driver not on that day, but the next day or so. And then when they arrested the BRT bus driver, he began to give this sub story of, we were attacked. And then when we were attacked, they carried gun. They say Kinikon, they now drag her down. Then me and I ran away. Then when I ran away, I was too scared. And you know, when I was hearing the story, I wanted to give him slap. I was wondering how, if it were true, a whole grown ass man would be talking like Mumu. Obviously, we both know that it's very likely not to be true. But what I'm saying is just a conjecture. I cannot speak as to whether it is true or not. I can only speak as to the fact that has been presented. So what are the facts of this case? And most importantly, what has he been charged for? He has been charged for rape. He has been charged for conspiracy. And most importantly, he has been charged for murder. Now, in relation to these 3 count charges, is he likely to be free? Is he likely to be convicted? You are going to be the judges while I dole out the facts right now and wait for you to give judgment. Obviously, I would love you to give your judgment in the comment section. Now, before we go into the rape issue, I want you to understand something in relation to law. In every case, there are 2 E's: emotions and evidence. Where the emotion is more than the evidence, there is likely not to be justice. However, where the evidence is more than the emotion, then yes, you are likely to get justice and you are likely to win the case. So in this case, do we have more emotion than we have evidence? That is exactly what we are interrogating. And while we are interrogating it, let's start with the first, which is rape. Now, for those who are law students or those who are not accustomed to law and all those nitty-gritty of law, what is rape? 2 things. There must be 2 things if you want to establish rape. Number 1, there must be actual penetration. Number 2, the penetration must have been done without consent. Now, in this case, can we speak to whether there was penetration or whether the penetration was done without consent? As far as I'm concerned, there is no evidence. Now, do note that one girl actually came out you should see the news on the screen. One girl actually came out and said that this same BRT bus driver has raped her before, and she provided evidence, I think voice note evidence or something, that she sent to her friend at that point. I'm not too clear on the evidence, but I knew that she came out and then she said that. However, can we say that because he had done that to her, is likely to have done it to BAMISE before he killed her? The answer is no, because there is no evidence. But BAMISE's body has been taken for autopsy, which means that if there is any inclination that BAMISE had sex before she died, then yes, we are beginning to have evidence. But there is also another thing. The fact that BAMISE had sex before she died does not mean that he had sex with her before she died. Do you understand that? So which still means that not only does the prosecution have to bring evidence of sex, the prosecution also has to tie the evidence to that particular person, which is the driver in question. When you don't tie it, then he's going to go scot-free. But that other girl that said that she has been raped by him before, my advice is that she should pursue the matter, provided she has substantial evidence to prove. If after the rape she immediately went for care in an hospital, then we can say, okay, that should be evidence. The doctor can speak that yes, there was rape and she reported it immediately it happened. But not only that, because that all we can prove at that time is going to be that there was one rape, but we cannot prove who did. Then she can use her mouth to speak that he did. Do you understand? Provided that her words are believable, he can be convicted. That is very good evidence. But in this case, we cannot say that he raped without evidence. The evidence we need here now is the medical doctor, because there is nobody who was there who can speak as to what happened. Do you understand that? Where there is no person who can speak, and he obviously is denying all allegation of rape and everything. He even said they dragged her off, and all he did was drive off, and he was too scared and all that. So there is no evidence whatsoever of rape. Do you understand? Note that I am not saying that he did or did not, because I know you people, you will misquote me. I am not saying he did or did not. I am saying there is no evidence to show that he did. If the autopsy can prove, then fine. If the autopsy doesn't, then I'm sorry. Do you understand that? Now let's go to the second one, which is conspiracy. For those who don't know what conspiracy is, when you are about to commit a crime, and then you form an intention with someone else to carry out that crime, and you people carried out that crime, then there is a conspiracy to carry out a crime. Now, I think where the prosecution had brought the idea of conspiracy is number one. If you notice the voice note that I sent earlier, she said that there were about 2 to 3 people that also entered the bus, a woman and 2 men or so. Now, and that was before her friend started saying that you are picking my call, but you're not saying anything. Hope everything is all right and all that. So there is then a tendency of what? Conspiracy, because he said that he was not going to pick any other person, but all of a sudden he picked these people, and he was the driver. So he couldn't have left the steering, although he could still, but it is more reasonable to say that he couldn't have left the steering, especially when those 3 people are there and done whatever they wanted to do. So there is an evidence of conspiracy. Even the man himself said that some people came and hijacked the bus and all that, and then he had to let her go so that he can drive off. So there is evidence of conspiracy. But the only thing is, for there to be conspiracy, now you need to have those other people on trial, because if they are not on trial, then they cannot be convicted of conspiracy. Why can't he be convicted of conspiracy? Because according to the court, with the evidence that has been brought to the court, if he's the only person, then there is no evidence that he conspired with any other person, because you cannot convict somebody on conspiracy alone. Him himself, he couldn't have conspired with himself. He conspired with other people. So where are they? So why will he convict this one of conspiracy where others are not there? You have section 8 of the Evidence Act to say that. You also have Ubeiro versus the state, Mohammed versus the state. Each of them will tell you that when you are talking about conspiracy, you need to have other people who would have agreed. You cannot convict one person of conspiracy. So I'm believing that the prosecution most likely are also out to get those other people, so that as the course of the trial is going, they can, bring them in. But if those other people are not gotten, then there's a very high tendency that is going to be free from the charge of conspiracy. Now, do you see this? The first count is what? Rape. And I've told you that he's likely to go scot-free. The second count is what? Likely to go scot-free. The fact that there has been a conspiracy, we have to prove it. And you need to get to the court to prove it. The court is a court of evidence, not a court of Omasheo, not a court of hey yeah, not a court of na then do am. I know inside me saying and then do am. No, you know say then do am. Yes, that is good. However, how you take no, so not only are we supposed to have evidence, we are supposed to have credible evidence. And then we then go to the third one. And then the third one is whether or not he will be charged and convicted of murder. Now, I think that this is basically the most serious one. Now, the reason it's serious is because I personally feel that he's going to be charged and convicted. Why? Because according to the Evidence Act, there is something known as the last seen principle. Now, this is where it becomes very, very important for everyone to actually listen and understand. Now, what is that last seen principle? The last seen principle, according to section 163 of the Evidence Act, coupled with circumstantial evidence, the law guiding circumstantial evidence. Now, according to section 163 of the Evidence Act, what it says is, when you talk about the last seen, what it basically say is this: when you are the last person to see a person alive, then there is a presumption that you should know what happened to the person. If you cannot give us a reasonable and a cogent reason why that person is no longer alive, it will be deemed that you are the one who killed the person. There is this case of Kolade versus the state, a very interesting case when I was studying evidence law. A very interesting case. Now, in that case, somebody came to Lagos to buy a car with his friend. He came to Lagos to buy a car. When he got to Lagos, he bought the car, but he couldn't drive it back on his own. So he told one of those boys there, and he paid the person, come and help me drive this car back. His friend kept on saying, because I think that his friend stays in Lagos, his friend kept on saying that, are you sure you want to go? You don't know this person and all that. He was there's no problem. And once she been a Benin, I go. I think it was going to Edo State. She been a Benin, I go and all that. Now that person drove the lecturer, because the person who came to buy the car was actually a lecturer. Drove the lecturer to Benin, and then that was, in fact, I can't even say he drove him to Benin. I can only say he drove him out of that place, because the moment he drove him out of that place, that was the last time anybody saw or heard of him. Not even his dead body. So when they got that boy that drove him, the boy kept on saying that he dropped him off and all that. But the court said there is no other evidence that can show that you actually dropped him off. And in fact, what we as a court can see is that the last time that he was alive, you were the one that drove him. If you cannot prove how automatically he dismissed from the surface of the earth, we are going to say that you killed him. So in this case, now note that I cannot tell you whether or not they were 4 or 5 that actually killed this girl. I cannot tell you what happened inside that bus, because I was not there, and there is no evidence to show us what was going on. But what evidence we have is that he was the last person that saw her alive. That's the evidence we have. And according to the Evidence Act, where you are the last person that saw a person alive, you can be charged and convicted for murder, except there is a reasonable explanation. If there is a reasonable explanation that can absorb you, then okay, that is fine. But in this case, when I even heard the guy speak, let us listen to what the guy said.
Sir, when those guys showed me the weapon, as I was saying, sir, I was I can't be myself anymore. Fears have come in me. So whatever the man on guns sit down there, whatever he told me, is what I do. When I follow that Carter Bridge, after that overhead bridge, they ordered me to stop there. And when they ordered me to stop, so I should open the door. When I opened the door, Then the next track, when they come down, they now start dragging her down. When I saw she was crying for help, actually I'm helpless. So I was just thinking that she's inside the vehicle holding the iron. So I move on.
So you left her there?
That's just the truth, sir.
You left
Because
her there?
I left her at that scene. I never knew that they dragged her down already.
What is the connection between you and those 3 guys that you picked up?
I have no connection with, it's just a person. I have no connection with any one of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But
Iwu agbalagba like you. So you can see that somebody has been abducted in your boss. What is the most reasonable thing that you could have done? They are not coming for you. They came for her. Abi, that is your story. They came for her. So what is your business? Go to the police and freaking report. If he had reported, this last same principle would not have been used against him, because at least he would have been the suspect too. But the court will still say, I don't think a guilty person would. Do you understand? But you now ran, you left the state, you went to another state. Bravo, wonderful, because you are scared. Agbalagba like you is scared. It doesn't make any sense. So you can see that based on the evidence, when it comes to rape, he will go scot-free. With what we have now, when autopsy report comes out, things can change, because then they can start saying DNA. Is DNA match the DNA of the sperm, or the DNA hair? That one is different. As at now, what we can see, that you and I can see, when it comes to rape of Bamise, he will go scot-free. When it comes to sexual molestation and all that, there is no evidence. He will go scot-free, except there are other evidence that comes up after this video has been made. Secondly, when it comes to conspiracy, because there are no other people in the picture as at now, the only time we have any other person is where the girl said that, all those people came in, but we cannot, give a conviction on conspiracy on that. There has to be those people in court. When those people are not in court, then he is going to go scot-free on conspiracy. But when it comes to murder, he won't go scot-free, because there is evidence against him. And that is what I need you to understand. When you are listening to a case or listening to something of this nature, look for the evidence, don't look for the emotions. This has been a very terrible case, but still. Now, another last thing that I need you to know before I finally end this particular show is that we Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria, and I keep telling you that. We Nigerians, leave government alone. When they went to report the case to the police station, let us read through what the brother said. Did you see that? Did you see the nonchalant attitude that police had until they found the corpse of the girl? Some people were even saying that he has gone to man's house. She has done this or she has done that. She has walked waywardly or done. Why do we have that kind of mentality? You can hear voice note of somebody talking and in danger. You saw video. Maybe if the police had been proactive, she would have still been alive. Maybe. Because it happened around the same axis. If the police had activated their response team, she might have still been alive. But we have a very nonchalant. Sometimes police could be extremely nonchalant, as in this case. We are the problem of ourselves. And the worst part is, nobody's head will roll for this kind of nonchalant behavior. They are supposed to sack somebody for not being at the right place at the right time, because those people, that is the family of Bamise, they were not lackadaisical, they were not nonchalant, they were proactive. Immediately they saw it. In fact, it was even the mother that went to the BRT place to go and start identifying, this is the boss, that is the boss. They did not wait for 1 week and say, let us pray. No, they took steps. So if the mother and the parents could be proactive, why couldn't our security forces be proactive? If they had been, Bamise might have been alive. But what do I know? you know, when I speak things like this, people say, no, is a this, is a, you know. But I think that as youths, most importantly as society, we are supposed to start, you know, listening to things like this and making sure we put things in the right place. And I hope that you've enjoyed my video so far. Thank you so much for watching from the beginning to the end of the video. I'm going to release subsequent set of videos that I'm very sure are going to be of interest to you. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and also make sure that you click the notification bell, and also make sure that you follow me on LinkedIn at Dear Kolola Daniels. I will see you in my next show.